Okay, super. Welcome everyone to my second live stream here with Restream, and I want to show my face only, so just a second. There we go. Welcome for the live here. As the topic says, I'm going to talk about mind training and in relation to relationships. So that's what we're going to dive deeper into. I'm going to show a mind map in a little bit time where you can follow along with the topics and what it is that I have focus on. I'm a power mind trainer and my name is Brian Jacobson. I do mind training with people. I've created a course where you do 9 steps to train your mind to create more of what you want. And I'm going to relate to that a little bit along the way, so bear that in mind. Have a cup of coffee, sit down, relax, and see if you can follow along. Use your imagination when I describe some of the ideas. I'm going to have a mate tea to keep the mind sharp. If you don't know what mate tea is, you can look it up with Google. It's a South American beverage where you just pour some hot water over mate leaves. And I'm going to let it stay for a little bit. Okay, hope you're ready. I'm excited. I'm going to share my screen here, and I like mind maps just to keep things in order. So hope you can follow along. I can't see your comments, so bear that in mind. I'm just going to move along here. But I hope you can hear me well. Okay, so mind training and relationships. First off, let's just start out with what is mind training. And as you can see over here, there's a little image that I created about mental health. And if we zoom in, we see that we have consciousness, we have awareness, and we have a creative force. And this is what we learn to manage in mind training. So mind training is skills, right? It's skills how to use your mind for certain things. And as you can see here, what is mind? Well, mind is filled with concepts, emotions, thoughts, and imagination. The body is also part of the mind. So mind is everything that you experience in a sense. Everything that can come and go happens within the mind. So that's your mind, and you are in control of your mind. Maybe you don't know how to control it. Maybe you don't know how to use it. Maybe it works against you, but it is possible for you to train your mind to work for you. Let's say, first thing you would like to learn with your mind is to focus. And what I teach in the course with the first step is to learn to focus on awareness, learn to focus on your breath. Because in order to train the mind, first we need to learn to relax and relax the mind. The next thing we need to learn to train the mind is what is fear. Because if we don't learn to recognize what is fear-based and what is true to us, the mind can play its tricks on us, right? It can play tricks, so we get afraid and we will react and we will not be able to focus our attention the way we want. So that's the first step you need to learn with your mind, to focus. What has that to do with relationships? We'll get into that. The next thing is learn to commit. So imagine you get an idea in your head. Okay, you get an idea. You want to get healthy, or you want to create a relationship, or you see, in my relationship, this could be very interesting to do together. Okay, so when you get an idea, first you got to learn to focus, right? You got to learn to focus on your idea, but then you got to learn to commit to it. You got to be ready to do what it takes to bring that idea about. It's a little bit like a plant. Okay, it's like putting seed down into the ground and then commit yourself to watering that seed until it blooms. And finally, you got to recognize truth from false. So really what we focus on with mind training and the mental health part is we learn to recognize what we can control and what we cannot control. Okay, just a little bit about mind training so you can better understand the angle I have when I talk about the relationships. So I want to show you what you can do if you want to create a relationship for yourself, or if you're already in a relationship, and how you can use your mind, how you can train yourself to bring more into that relationship of that you really desire and what you want, and your needs, right? So let's look into that a little bit. So here, relationships, right? Let's start out with, what is a relationship, right? So the first thing that we see with people joining a relationship, or the first thing I experienced personally in a relationship, is I had an idea of what is a relationship, but I was not making it clear to myself. And I definitely had no clue how to communicate that to my partner at the time. I just expected her to have the same ideas of a relationship that I had. So the first thing we want to ask ourselves before we actually enter into a relationship, and also ongoing in a relationship, is, what is a relationship to me, to you, right? What is a relationship to you? And well, I have some ideas written down here. A relationship is, you can be in a relationship, but you can still have independence. Okay, so I'm independent from the relationship, right? But I'm still communicating with someone. I'm still connecting with someone. If it's you can have relationships, of course, with friends, your kids, etc. So there's no sex there. But if it's a relationship, there can also be sex, which is basically just communication and connection and intimacy, where you express that, where you share that together in a certain way. But a relationship, for sure, there's teamwork and also what we call collaboration. Now, what it is for, that's mainly up to you and the one you have a relationship with, right? That is what I see as the main purpose. And the fun part about a relationship is, what ideas can we grow together? What ideas can we actually make work together? An easy example is making food together, right? There's a need for both people in a relationship to have some food to eat. And so to learn to join together, to collaborate of making food together, is one of the first things that comes up naturally. But then, of course, there's also the sex part. Some have more desires and needs in what kind of sex they like, what they enjoy there. And also, so that needs to be communicated, right? Okay. So what has that to do with mind training? So in mind training, you learn to establish a vision for yourself. A vision is an idea or an image or a scenario that you are compelled to experience more of. Just excuse me here, it's quite warm when the sun is shut. So a vision is very important to have, both when we are in a relationship, but also a vision for where we want to be in the future, what we want to create more of. And it helps to focus the mind. It helps to wake up motivated. So that's important, to establish a vision. And that's your responsibility, right? You need to know your vision. That's one of the first things you need to make clear with yourself, especially if you want to meet or attract the right partner, is you need to know your vision, okay? And as it says here, it's your responsibility. The big thing about having a vision when we're in a relationship together, when we're communicating, is you're creating something. You're not just waiting for something. So let's say you're in a relationship. Let's have an example. So imagine with me here. You're in a relationship. You're with your partner, and you're just right now. You're just sitting together in the living room or in a room. You're just sitting together, and your partner is enjoying it, enjoying the silence, enjoying that time. But you are waiting for your partner to take some action, or you're waiting for your partner to start doing something. Okay? something interesting or something. If we could just start to actually save up money so we can go on the vacation, or if he could just finally get together his act and then we can finally do these things. But you're waiting for it. Instead of helping supporting your vision of what it is you see you want more of, you're waiting for it. I want you to have a very clear vision and learn to communicate that to your partner. So you're creating it, taking action together, see what you can take part in, see what he or her can take part in. So that's the importance of a vision in the relationship. Because really, without a vision, there's no relationship. Two bodies meeting up, showing up together, that's not a relationship. It's just there's some communication, right? But it's not really a relationship. There's no gathering, there's no joining of intention. Okay. The joint intention, that is where the relationship starts to become fun. Okay. Let's have a look in toxic relationships. Let's look into that. So what's a toxic relationship? So main thing with toxic relationship is usually when people are not into mind training, when they're not learning about what they can do and create for themselves and bring to life, they still have the same needs. They still have the same desire to be happy, to love, to be loved. But in order to get that love and that happiness, what happens for that person is they start to be controlling, right? They start to control the other partner to be in a certain way so they can be happy. Okay? And that's the beginning of a toxic relationship, because that's what we call codependence, right? So if you cannot be happy on your own, well, how can you ever expect a partner to make you happy continuously if you don't even know how to do it on your own? You see, you're not resting. So that what happens there is what a beginning of a toxic relationship. The fretting, right? So let's just jump. So these elements here are what is keys for a toxic relationship: being controlling, threatening. Have you ever experienced like you're with someone and suddenly they say, if you're going to do that, then I'm going to do this. Or if you're going to do that, then I'm going to do this. And you suddenly start to wonder, why are you even bringing that up? Why is it necessary to threat something? And this is a fear-based mentality. So I just want to show that how we handle that in the mind training, right? So let's just zoom in here. So in the mind, a lot of things happens, right? A lot of ideas happens. We can be very joyful and peaceful and loving. That's when we are recognizing the truth of our being, the truth of our vision, the truth of our power to create. But there can also happen in the mind nightmares, right? You can have illusions and you believe them to be true. When that happens, you're going to have this fearful experience up here. And you're going to start to learn and see yourself as a victim of your circumstances, not being able to impact them, not being able to communicate and see the beauty of it. So that fearful experience is not that pleasant at all. And the victimhood identity starts to try and control the environment in order to feel good, because you still want to feel joyful, loving, and happy. This kind of relationship with people living in that state of mind can be very energy draining. Okay. So if they don't take care of that part, then suddenly that's your responsibility to take care of this part, this very judgmental, blaming mentality, blaming mindset, usually never getting anywhere, not improving themselves. It's everybody else's fault that they are not feeling okay. And that's very tough and very toxic to be in a relationship with someone who is stuck in that mindset. The same goes with if they have not learned to rest and find rest within themselves, right? Constantly overthinking things, constantly in a fight or flight mode. And then suddenly They're with you. Why? Usually because they found a place where they could relax a bit. You bring a certain amount of safety. So instead of learning, to observe and meditate themselves, they're going to use you in the relationship to have that experience in here. Okay, hope that made sense, explaining it like that. So that's a very toxic relationship to be in. The codependence. Well, as I just explained just before, the codependence is usually emotional, but it can also be financial. But usually it's somewhat emotional. That means you're giving that person a space where they feel good. But on their own, they are scared, right? But so they need you to feel good. Or maybe it's you. Maybe you're the one codependent with someone and you need them in order to feel okay. You need them to feel safe. Well, that kind of codependence is very unhealthy. It limits your way of thinking. It limits your mind, closes your mind for ways of actually enjoying this time. Another part of the toxic relationship is emotional reactive. Have you ever tried to have an argument with someone and they blame you for how they feel? You made me feel angry. You made me, it was your fault. So what happens there is emotional reactivity. For me, for the first years of my life, I was definitely emotional reactive. I had no clue how to handle my own emotions. I had no clue how to take responsibility and bring more of what it is I want into a relationship. So yeah, I was pointing fingers and it does not work. Maybe it works for a certain amount of time. Okay, they were blamed. Good. Now I feel good. The anger goes away, the pain goes away, but it will come up again, right? Just in another scenario. So that's kind of a toxic relation. Addictions, they're toxic, right? Someone is addicted, they have hyperactive behavior. They need that substance in order to feel okay. And we already talked about the blame. So those are toxic relationships. Okay, let's look into the healthy relationships. And the reason why I'm showing you this, the reason why this is important is because when we can recognize something dysfunctional in our lives, something that's not working out, at least then we can see, okay, this is not working out the way I wanted it to. Well, that's the first step in order to turn your head onto the other side and look, so what is it that I want to create, right? So let's look into the healthy relationships. Healthy relationships have emotional responsibility. In that way, we take responsibility for how we feel, how we do in our day, how we handle our business, in a sense, how we manage our energy, manage our time, and we take that responsibility. Not saying it's 100% perfect, but at least if one is sad or down, then it's not like I know all the time if I feel sad, I'm just going to choose to be happy. It's not like that. But at least I know, okay, something is going on for me right now and I'm sad and I feel sad and I need to work with that. Then people can help me. I can ask for help. But it's not like it's a demand. It's my responsibility. Healthy relationships have clear communication. What does that mean? Honesty. Be absolutely honest what it is you want. Learn to communicate what it is you want. And have an open mind. Have patience with your partner for them to start also seeing what it is that you want. Just because, imagine you're out walking on a field, you point at something. Just because you're pointing at it and you think you're pointing directly at it, it doesn't mean your partner can see that right away. Okay? Maybe it needs to be communicated differently. But at least it's your responsibility to communicate clearly what it is you want. What is your needs? What is the kind of relationships you want? Let your partner know who you are, what you are standing for, so they can recognize that. and not just with words, right? Words are very little compared to action. Action is primary drive. It doesn't help to say, "Hey, I like to be with you," but you're never showing up, right? I mean, or something similar like that. So don't use your words only for clear communication. Do both. Honesty. One of the most difficult things for most people in relationships is to be honest. To honestly say if something hurt us, right? If we, hey, that actually hurt my feelings there, uh, and to be honest about it, be vulnerable about it, because okay, maybe it hurt your feelings, but maybe that's just the way it is. Maybe it's not even your partner's fault. Or the honesty about, I would like a change in this area here, or whatever it is. You might come up with something where you can see, hey, I haven't honestly expressed this part of myself yet to my partner or in my relationship. So honesty is very important, and we need to work with that on our own first, being honest with ourselves first. Then we have the patience part. Let's have a glass of water for the patience. Any relationship is like a plant. You need to water it the right amount. You need to nurture it. You need to talk with the plant, and you need to put it in the right amount of sunlight, etc. That goes the same thing with the things you want to grow in your relationship, whether it's your sex life, whether it's your ability to have a good time together in the evenings, if it's training, or you're building something together, or whatever it is. New foods, help with your goals, teamwork with something. You need patience for your partner to follow up on it, right? To understand what it is you're communicating with them. Okay. So patience is key. Also, you might not pick up on their desires and their needs right away, right? So they also need the patience. So patience is always a good thing. It's not like you should wait for things to happen. Clearly communication, right? And know that you have expressed what you need to express as soon as possible, that it pops up. We're not waiting to water the plant. We're not waiting for the seed is growing in the way that it can, but we're not waiting for doing and nurturing it for what it needs. Yeah. Higher purpose. You gotta have a higher purpose for your relationship for it to work out in the long run. What that higher purpose is up to you. What it is you want to nurture. Um, and finally, healthy relationships has clear goals. Clear goals on what we're working together on, what we enjoy, where each one stands in relation to that higher purpose, into clear goals. It could be many things: how we like the food we eat, how we like our evenings, how we like to train. There are many aspects of goals together, but they have to be clear. So you can see a healthy relationship requires a lot of each individual, right? Just emotional responsibility. That's a high IQ requirement. Not everybody has learned how to handle their emotions. Clear communication. I mean, I'm still learning, and that's a part of the patience and also open-mindedness. Is we are always continuously learning and growing together. So clear communication is evolving all the time. We get better at it. But these are key foundations for a healthy relationship. I'd love to hear in the comments. If you can comment below, I'll see if I can actually see some comments here. I don't think so. Nope. But you're welcome to share some of your comments down below if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook. Just share some of the comments as long as I go along, because we can later on, you can join on the show here, or I'll have one of you on the show and I'll address those questions and we can have a direct talk back and forth, not just this monologue here, me trying to hit some of those areas. Okay. So that's healthy relationships. Okay. So let's just have an overlook here. So mind training and relationships, what does it all fit in? And there I want to share with you a 9-step model that I made, that I use myself, by the way. I'm just going to have a sip of tea. And while I have a sip of tea here, maybe you can use a little time to consider some of the things we just walked through. Am I emotional responsible? Do I really take responsibility for my emotions, or am I the one pointing fingers? Or maybe you're curious, how do I handle if I am in a relationship with someone who's not responsible for their feelings and emotions? What I want to do now is I want to show you step by step how you can bring some idea, some vision to life in your relationship, or how you can create a relationship. There's a step-by-step model for it. And I wish I had my 3x3 Rubik's Cube here, because there's like algorithms. And when you do that algorithm, you're moving the pieces in a certain way. This is the same with mind training. If you follow these steps, you will get similar results. That's why that's how it works. I'm just going to find the image here. 9 steps. Let's see. And just consider one time, just imagine, okay, right now you can learn, you can be able to take that idea that you have at heart, something that you would just love was like that. And you can actually learn how to bring it to life. Imagine that ability for a second. Imagine that confidence that you'll have, or that joy you will start to have in your life, knowing that. No more excuses, no more pointing fingers. It doesn't work, because this will work. If you follow these steps, this works. If I can find them. Here we go. I just need the image. Did I mention something about patience? I hope I said something about patience. There we go. Nice. And then I need to share it with you guys. There we go. Okay, so these are 9 steps. I'm going to zoom in here if I can. Well, here's the first step. So I talked about the responsibility that we need. The first step here is what we call mental health. So first, you got to learn that you actually have a choice of how you want to feel right now. You have a choice to respond to life, to respond to the things that shows up in the way that you want. So you will have more of what you want. You got that ability. You got that possibility for you. So in a sense, you're free right now to create more of what you want. That's all step number 1 is for. It's just to recognize, hey, I can create more of what I want. I've created a lot of shit in my past, but that's not now. Now I'll learn more of how and what I want. So whether you are in a relationship or you're not, I want you to think of an idea that you want to have more of in your relationship. I want you to imagine, and this is the importance of imagination, I want you to imagine something you would like to experience with your partner. Maybe you cannot see how it would look like, how it would happen, but just what do you want to feel together with your partner? What kind of energy do you want to give, to sprout, to see growing? What kind of intimacy? What kind of, you come up with what works for you. If you're not in a relationship, imagine a relationship that feels good, that inspires you. You want to wake up on a daily basis. If you're already in a relationship, imagine something you can do together or connect again with that initial idea of a relationship, that initial idea of joy and sharedness and whatever it is. This is the first thing. We got to set that intention clear for ourselves. Okay, this is what I want to experience more of. Okay, you got to connect with that. You got to feel that. You got to embrace that emotionally, because I will get into that. But you got to define it. You got to have a very clear idea of what it is in order to communicate it. Let's say you want to go on a vacation together. Okay, you got to be very clear in your definition of what kind of vacation, what should it entail, so forth, so you can communicate it. Here comes the fun part. And this is where most people stop and get blocked. I want you to decide for this intention, this relationship, this new thing you want to grow. I want you to decide for it and be with it 100% right now. Imagine it's 100% sure that will happen. Okay? And feel how that feels like. Where most people go wrong is they will imagine they will imagine how their partner would be in the past and see, okay, it cannot work because he said this or she said that or this or that. That's the past. Okay, I want you to just decide right now, it's 100% sure this is going to happen, and become that manifestation by having 100% faith. This will start growing. Feel how that feels. If it doesn't feel good, it's not a good intention you set. It's not something you want to experience. Or you don't believe 100% it will happen. Just remember, you are the one who is shedding light to this idea. You are the creator of it. And the first thing we can start to create from any idea is an emotional change. We change the frequency. We change the way we smile to life. Knowing that this will start to happen, we change our ways. We talk differently. We look differently at people. I want you to imagine that the entire universe is going to collaborate for you. That means every single person you're going to meet from now on, including your partner, has a little piece of the puzzle to help you make that idea come true. So knowing that they are actually saving you to grow that idea, okay? They're helping you to grow that idea. So you will start looking a little bit different at people now, from now on, if you are aware that's actually what's going to happen. You don't know how, we don't know how they're going to help. That's up to the universe to decide. But our attitude has changed. The next time you see your partner, your attitude has changed towards your partner because you see this idea start growing in them. And again, this is where most people actually make the mistake. They imagine the past. Okay, I want to have my face here. So look at me right now. Do you see the past in me, or do you see the future in me? Do you see me being able to teach you the things that you want to see more of, or do you see the past in me? Now I want you to just reflect a little bit. When you look at your partner or in your relationship, when you look at them, are you seeing the potential they have, what you can do together, and how everything will blossom? Or are you repeating the past of having grudges, or this will not work out because of that? Because if you do step number 1 in the mind training course, where we learn about forgiveness, quitting the victimhood, and start to being creative with our energy, that will benefit you. Because that's how we put it into practice. We use imagination when we look at people whoever it is, and we see more of what we want, and we emotionally we change in that aspect. That's important for yourself, first and foremost. Because if you don't do that for yourself, you will continue to be a victim of the world. Simple as that. There's just no in between. So that's the first thing. Let's jump back to these 3 steps. You gotta embrace your vision for what it is you want to create more of 100%. I want you to feel that right now. Tap into that vision you wanted to create. It can be just a perfect dinner, you know. It can be making food together in a way that, wow, this just worked out. And see your responsibility. See that you bring the energy to it. Regardless of how they are behaving, you bring that energy. Whatever it is, humor, openness, vulnerability, it can be many things, but it's yours, right? You got to bring that to the table. Imagine yourself doing that right now, owning it. You got this. I want to share my screen again. Okay, hope you can see the 9 steps here. So that's step number 3, right? So first we just discovered, hey, I can choose to have any relationship I want. Awesome. What kind of relationship do I want? That's step number 2. Oh, I want this kind of relationship. Why? Because it feels good. It makes you feel different, right? Your cells, they become alive. Okay, great. Now, let's start creating that. That's step number 3. Let's embody that. Let's own that. Take responsibility and start bringing that to life. First off, just imagine that the whole entire universe is going to help you with it, right? Every single person has a little play to act in that part. So you're being that creation. Has nothing to do with the other part yet. And what we then learn in this mind training part is to maintain the focus, okay? Maintain this focus throughout enough time for that seed. Remember the plant, right? We're planting a seed that needs to grow. It needs to be nurtured. It needs energy, right? So the patience, I'm just going to do this again. So what we did here right now was just 3 simple steps in our minds to feel different. Okay. Why? Because that energy will start to sprout. That energy will, your partner cannot not feel that energy. They will feel the energy just like when you're sad, when you're mad, they will feel that energy as well. Okay. There's no separation. You cannot not feel it. So you choose to change your frequency. Your partner will start sensing that. Your partner will feel that. And that will start to create a ripple effect. The seed is planted. The only thing that can obstruct that seed is fear. So if we don't know how to handle fear, embrace fear, that can stop it from growing. Okay? So you got to learn that. And you're both on that same journey. Everybody's on that journey to no longer let fear impose on what it is they want to create more of. And those are the last steps. Okay. So if you have been listening all along, it's 40 minutes, I see. You've, first of all, got great patience. And also, I want to congratulate you that there's actually something that you are very curious about that you want to experience more of. Something you find very valuable. Something you should prioritize very highly. So at least write that down, get some paper, write this vision down, whatever it is you connected with during this talk, whatever popped up that you say, hey, I want that. Please go write it down, keep that note. Because we got to take ourselves seriously first in order for anyone else in this world to take us seriously. And maybe it will never happen, but at least we take ourselves seriously and we do what we can control, and we make that change. When you wake up every morning, are you filling your mind with ideas that you enjoy? that you see you want to create more of, or are you letting the world impact it? And hey, if you don't know how to fill your mind with the ideas that you want, there are training for it. That's the mind training part. Okay. So there are recipes, there are actually steps and small training parts you can do to start filling your mind with ideas you want to experience more of. And one thing, funny thing I get sometimes when people go, but I don't want any more ideas. I just want to relax. Great. There's mind training for relaxation. It's not a big science. It's been done for 5,000 years plus. Yoga, meditation, stop eating food that's not good for your stomach. I mean, I'm going to hold a fast here for a group soon. We're going to do fasting. Why? Because it helps the mind. That's mind training, right? We're training the mind to bring health to the body, right? To acquire the discipline to not let food dictate how we should feel, what we should eat. So we're no longer emotionally eating, right? We take that away with fasting. And we learn to see how the body actually acts on water. Yeah. Okay. This is about all that I have for you right now. Let's do a fast recap. See if I can find my mind map. Right there. I gotta have patience with myself as well, you know. I imagine this work out a little bit different, but it is what it is. So here's our mind map, mind training, relationships, right? Didn't come into talk about trust so much, but we talked about imagination, patience, having a vision. Let's see, the courage, right? You need courage to stand up for your ideas, to share them, speak openly about it. We talked about what is mind training, right? The ability to find rest. We need rest. Also in this moment, not just sleeping, but also right now. That's mind training, right? You learn to find rest, to observe, to browse your ideas of what you want to create before jumping into it, right? Don't just go and make food. Okay, get clear on what food you want. This kind of food, okay, then make your choice. Mind training also is teaching us about how to step out of the illusion of being judgmental, of living in fear, right? Of the victim that we can put on ourselves. And I speak about it in a way that maybe it sounds like I mastered this 100%. No, I just become aware of this tool and then I start practicing it, getting better at it. So maybe before I knew this, I would probably have a fearful experience maybe for months, right? Before I woke up and, hey, I want something else. And now it's just different because I know this tool. I got the skill to bring forgiveness, to relax, to observe what's going on. Okay. But when we stop actually reacting with fear to our life, when we stop constantly generating a fearful experience over and over again and forgive ourselves, we actually have access to that creative force. That creative force I spoke about just 10 minutes ago. Bringing life to your intention. See that vision, see that relationship you want more of. So you can start to actually see what's true. The joy, the power you have, the peace, the love. Bring that to life. However that may look like for you, which is different for all of us, right? We talked about what is mind training. We talked about relationships. What is a relationship? Well, it's a communication, but it's also independence, right? It's not codependence. It's still independence. Two plants growing each other, they're in a relationship, but they're also independent of one another. Okay. We talked about connection. And what type of connection you want and I want might be different, but there must be a connection, otherwise there's no relationship. There can be sex, intimacy, teamwork, working together for something. We talked a little bit about toxic relationships. Right? How do you identify toxic behavior? And with toxic behavior, just remember that when we identify that, it's not like we blame the other person for it. We just see, okay, that's controlling behavior. When we recognize that, then we learn to respond to that behavior in a way that it will have no effect. That might be you have to step out of the relationship. Sure, that's one way. But that's actually helpful for that person who is living in that kind of mindset. So they will see, okay, I'm not getting what I want. It doesn't work. But we talked about what is a toxic relationship. We talked about what is a healthy relationship, where there's taking responsibility for our emotions. We do an effort to bring clear communication for what it is we want together, our desires. We are honest to the degree that we can be honest with ourselves. We got the patience. Each plant, each idea take time to grow. There's a higher purpose, right? Maybe we connect in a joy. Yeah, we have joy as the higher purpose. We want to bring more joy and laughter into our lives. Or maybe it's a purpose of finding new truths together. Deep, deep, deep connection and longing for seeing that, whatever it is, right? Clear goals. Talked about that. We talked a little bit about an example of how you can bring an idea to life with the 9 steps. And yeah, so that was just a little episode for you with mind training and relationships. This is a new way that I present these ideas here. I'd love to hear how you liked it. If you want something else, or if you want some more of this, let me know in the comments below. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe, help the channel growing. And if you want to be a guest also later and talk about some of these ideas and maybe share what's going on for you, then you're welcome to do that. Just leave that in the comments below and I'll answer it. I'll take my time and see to answer you best way. Okay. Cheers. Thank you very much. Much blessings to you. Much peace to you. And thanks for listening. Have a great day. Have an awesome day. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Much love. And then